Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for January 10th, 2013. It's currently 7:52 a.m. And as you can see, it's a little chilly out there, but certainly not cold, especially for this time of year, with temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, especially around Poughkeepsie and Messina and portions of northeastern Pennsylvania like Allentown, and the upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. I'm not expecting much of a rise in temperatures today. Looking for temperatures in the lower to mid 40s over the northern interior, upper 40s to lower 50s along the immediate coast, roughly 10 to 15 degrees above normal for this time of year. And you haven't seen anything yet. It's going to get a lot warmer than that by this weekend. Notice the winds are from the northwest this morning as a weak polar cold front moved through early this morning. But the winds are already starting to back to the west, and by this evening will be from the southwest, transporting much warmer air into the northern mid-Atlantic. So let's take a look at our forecast. First and foremost, let's take a look at the radar, and as you can see, we're high and dry here, but look at all this here. This is a storm that is really amped up over Texas. This storm and all the severe weather that's developing along the Gulf Coast will lift north and east towards the Great Lakes. Now, this storm track will basically draw a lot of warm air up the east coast via a strong southwesterly wind at all levels of the atmosphere from the Gulf Coast all the way up into Maine. We could see this on the infrared satellite picture. Our storm is really strong, really intensifying here over Texas, producing a significant severe weather event over the Gulf Coast. Look at these cloud tops just rising very, very high, very cold cloud top temperatures, which tells us we are dealing with some rather severe thunderstorms over portions of Louisiana. I would not be surprised if we have a tornado threat here or there. In fact, I've heard on Twitter of a few warnings here and there. So it's a rather dangerous situation here along the Gulf Coast and especially around Louisiana. Here's our polar cold front that has moved through. Of course, we have our northwesterly flow. That will not last long as the strong southwesterly flow from this storm here will overrun this polar air mass. Now look for, basically right now we have clear skies, but look for clouds to slowly increase through the day. And by tomorrow, I'm expecting more cloud cover than what the model guidance is suggesting because of all this moisture that is streaming out of the Gulf of Mexico. And we're seeing this very nicely with the water vapor satellite picture. You can see all this moisture in the mid-levels. So I think there's going to be a bit more cloud cover than being suggested. Still, we're looking at above normal temperatures with temperatures in the 50s over many locations by tomorrow afternoon. So what else is going on? Well, this storm is going to lift north and east, bring a few showers as a warm front moves through the region tomorrow afternoon. Again, nothing significant in nature tomorrow afternoon and evening, just a few scattered showers. The heavy rainfall potential is going to hold off until next week when this Arctic cold front here starts to really drive towards the eastern United States and bring a significant pattern change to much of the United States. Take a look at the latest model guidance from the Penn State EWOL website. Excellent website for your model needs. This is, of course, the European model guidance. Now, here we are for this evening. A nice southeast ridge being pumped up by this storm here. This storm's going to lift towards the Great Lakes. This upper level disturbance and upper level low lifts north and east. Again, this is what basically drove our polar cold front south and kind of delayed the warm-up that's been expected on the model guidance. Remember, about 5 days ago, it was supposed to be in the mid to upper 50s by now, but instead we've been in the 40s because of this upper level low being a little bit further south and east as I suggested, forcing that polar cold front to the south. For tomorrow, the ridge takes hold, and when it does, we're going to notice it. A warm front again is going to move through with a few scattered showers and temperatures rebounding nicely into the 50s. Now notice our polar vortex here is well up north in Canada, and that's pretty much where all the Arctic air is. However, as we move on through the forecast, notice our polar vortex starts to drop south. Our ridge is very much in place over the east coast. Very warm conditions. Look at the mid-level winds here from the Gulf Coast all the way up into Maine, basically driving very warm air into the northern mid-Atlantic, producing temperatures anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees above normal for Saturday and Sunday. We're talking about temperatures in the mid to upper 50s everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if someone hit 60 degrees in southern New Jersey, in fact, with this type of warm southwesterly wind. It's going to be rare, but it will be possible, especially with the high pressure system at the surface right off the coast. So we have southwesterly winds in place. Wouldn't rule out an isolated shower here or there either. By Sunday, again, our cold front inches closer to the coast, but will remain dry for the most part on Sunday with a nice southwesterly wind and very warm conditions in place. On Monday, we start to see our change. On Monday, the southeast ridge starts to get pushed off the coast. We start to see our polar vortex dropping south. We start to see lower heights developing over the northern Atlantic. Look at the heights building around Greenland. Oh, and by the way, look at the very strong ridge developing over the western portions of Canada and a nice deep trough around the Aleutian Islands. Our winds at the mid-levels are starting to shift as well. Instead of the southwest, they start to become more from the west. And we start to see a shift more towards the northwest as our Arctic air starts to make its push to the south. And on Monday, look for periods of rain. We're on the warm side of this cold front, so look at temperatures in the mid to upper 40s, possibly even a few lower 50s. By Tuesday is when things get interesting here. Now, there's a lot of high volatility, a lot of uncertainty in the forecast here on Tuesday. Let me jump back here. Here we are, here, Tuesday. Now, the cold front is going to be right over the northern Atlantic. And that's going to lead to a very strong thermal gradient over the region. Now, currently we're on the warm side based on this forecast. The ensemble model guidance is a little bit colder with the cold front further south, and that drops temperatures significantly. So you could easily be 35 degrees in northern New Jersey and 55 degrees in southern New Jersey. Sussex, 35. Cape May, 55. Very much could be that type of thermal gradient depending on exactly how far south and how fast this Arctic air mass invades and just how much of a fight the southeast ridge puts up. So a very highly volatile weather forecast here for Tuesday with the potential that, let's say, Connecticut, New York City, north of New York City around White Plains and northern New Jersey and northeastern Pennsylvania could see a wintry mix or even snow. Meanwhile, portions of southern and central New Jersey sees rain. This shifts a little bit further south, then everyone could have a nice little wintry mix and a lot of a mess basically on Tuesday. We're going to keep a real careful eye on this because with Arctic cold fronts and low-level cold air, you never want to assume that warm air is going to easily win out because, well, Arctic air has a way of sneaking in, especially when the model guidance underestimates it. So that is a significant possibility here. We're talking about temperatures in Canada right now around minus 45 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how cold we're talking about. By the time we get into Wednesday, our polar vortex has dropped well to the south. We have falling heights over the northern Atlantic, a nice powerful ridge over Greenland, a nice powerful ridge over the west coast. Arctic air is invading the United States. Keep an eye on the southeast ridge here. It should be interesting, especially with these disturbances moving forward. And if you want to jump ahead to 10 days out, hello, Arctic air. Okay, you have Arctic air invading much of the northern plains, the Great Lakes, the New England, the northern mid-Atlantic, bleeding into the southern mid-Atlantic. Notice this right here, the warm air holding on here. That's because of our southeast ridge here trying to fight back. And with this type of blocking pattern, these are above normal heights. This, of course, is a strong upper level low. And the models are starting to try to push more of an upper level low towards Quebec, which means that this pattern is not breaking down anytime soon. So it looks like the Arctic air is going to be slow to exit, if it does at all, for late January. And February should be a very interesting month if this pattern actually locks in, as being suggested by many model guidance and many long-range model guidance. And here, of course, we have our negative VPO pattern. This is the upper level low around the Aleutians. A nice ridge over the west coast, and a nice broad deep trough with significant blocking ramifications setting up for the eastern United States. So all of you who have been saying, hey, winter's over, it is not. It's far from it. That is the forecast for today. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Of course, just a reminder, be sure to visit the winter weather workshop sign up. Of course, we're going to be talking about the winter weather and what to expect going forward, and it gives you a chance to ask us all sorts of questions about what to expect for January and February moving on. $20 at the door, $30 at the door, should I say, $20 in advance on January 19th between 9:30 and 11 a.m. Thank you for watching. Of course, you can follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a great day. Stay safe out there.